Welcome. Today we bring you a story. I try to bring incredible stories here on this channel regarding child support. But here is a story that is news to many of you, and that is credit repair is illegal in the state of Georgia. Yes, I know it sounds very unbelievable, but credit repair is illegal in Georgia. Now, for many of you who tune to my channels, I bring stories, I do the research. And so when I saw this story about Georgia, I said, wait a minute, this cannot be. But it actually is true. The Office of the Attorney General, CAR, prosecuted in July 19, 2019, a company for providing services, which is to repair both personal and business credit. And they were fined $1 million. Yes, again, it sounds unbelievable, but it was. And the company that settled that was the Financial Education Services. Now, for many of you who've been to my channel, you understand that this law in Georgia violates the Supremacy Clause. Yes, the Supremacy Clause, which establishes that the federal government and their rules and laws, basically overrule state law. And credit report is legal in all 50 states, or in this case, in all states except for Georgia. Now, why is it allowed? Well, we'll talk more about it in this episode, but please stay here. Watch this to the end. I have some solutions and I'll point out some issues with it, but you will learn something as well as watch this video. If you know someone who lives in Georgia, they will need this solution. So stay tuned at the end. Now, we have, in here on the channel, we talk mostly about child support. But we started a new process where when we help you get rid of child support, or if you've used our information to remove yourself from the child support program, we want you to set your sight on the road towards financial freedom. And it starts off with having excellent credit. So let's look at the Georgia Code, the law itself. It's Title 16, Crimes and Offenses. And it's under the classification of forgery and fraudulent practice. And that is Georgia 16-9-59, operations of credit repair services is illegal in Georgia. So here's how they define the operation of credit repair. That is, they take the definition from the Consumer Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is 15 USC 1681. That's a definition for credit reporting services. So a person commits the offense of operating a credit repair service organization when he or she owns, operates, or is affiliated with a credit repair services. And that person who commits the offense of operating a credit repair services organization shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. Yes, it is a crime to be involved in the business of repairing credit in the state of Georgia. Again, the story is incredible when I first read it, but I've done the research and I'm here to share that with you. So this is important where I talk about a lot. Know your rights. Know your rights under child support, but also know your rights under the Fair Credit Reporting, because I've said it is legal in all 49 states to do credit repair or to repair your credit, except in the state of Georgia. Now, to understand more about the rules and requirement about fair credit reporting, you can get a free copy from either the Consumer Finance website, or you can get it from our website and our learning management system, which we'll talk about at the end of the video. So we're now stressing on this channel that you should check your credit report at least once a year. That is the recommended guideline. And last year they were recommending that you check your credit report for errors every 6 months. Now, a credit report as you know, the FICO score, and now there's another version of this with rates, but for the most part, FICO score is the most popular. It starts off with a 300, which is called very poor credit, to excellent, which is anything over 700 to as high as 850. And what does that mean? It means that you get to either borrow at the best rate or at the lowest rate, or you borrow what is called the subprime lending market. So what are the possible risks to your credit report or the reporting? Well, one, if you're below 600, there's several reasons why. We think one of them is for child support payments, which are mostly men. There's also collections on your account, which is a debt that you hadn't paid from a retailer or a credit card that could show up on your report. Medical bills, that also, or late payment fees or services you did not pay for, as well as federal and state tax liens. There could be municipal tax liens. There could be court fees and fines. Student loans, that's another category for many of us who had to pay for college and had to borrow and still have student loan carrying their monthly payment, because as you know, student loans cannot be charged off in a debt. Also, late payments on your current credit cards, your current debt. Again, these are the factors that will drive your score within the low 600, which pushes you into that subprime borrowing market. So now, what are your rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act? As we said, this is a federal statute. It's a federal requirement, except in Georgia. Well, the first thing you should do is you should ask for your credit score. Yes, we all have a credit score. Some of us may have nothing in our credit report, but we have a score. So this is a good time for you to get that score. And the score is broken down in terms of history of your payments, the amount you owe, the length of your credit, and so on. Next, you want to know what is in your file. What do they currently have on you? That is, their consumer reporting agencies. What information do you have? You have a right to know what's in your file. Next, if there are any errors or inaccuracy, you have a federal right to dispute that information. So those are your rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Hello, my name is Chris. And in this session, we're reviewing the unbelievable statute or law in Georgia that says if you're assisted by anyone to fix your credit report, it is a crime. And in this episode, we're going to talk about it more, give you the full facts of our research, but also provide you with some remedy. So please stay tuned. Do not leave. Watch this important video. It's not often that you can find a state statute that violates the Federal Supremacy Clause. And if you're new to this channel, please feel to subscribe as we give you more information. We ask from time to time a donation to keep our research going, as well as to keep our channel going. And yes, these videos are free and we provide them on this channel, but also we're asking for a gift. We'll accept a $5 Cash App or a gift of any kind, again, to help us keep our research and share it with you. You can find us on your favorite podcast, whether it's Apple, Amazon, or Google, or your other local market. Check your market for listings for Child Support Made Simple podcast. We've covered repairing your credit. We did several videos on the topic. Please feel free to review them. We talk about removing child support from your credit report. Yes, that is correct. You can do that, as well as other strategies. But in this episode, we're just going to focus on Georgia. So the Georgia Credit Repair Trade Association on January 12, 2021 wrote that the Georgia experiment has failed. That is, more than a decade ago, the state of Georgia passed a law to make credit repair services illegal in its state unless it's performed by a lawyer or a nonprofit. It was a great idea, they thought, but it backfired. What it led to is that many of the citizens of Georgia has discrepancies on their credit report, but unfortunately, they have to do it themselves. And if you're someone for any reason that you're impaired or you just need assistance, your legislators literally make this function a criminal act. Yes, a criminal act. So that's why the writer of this article, Matt Lister, wrote that this experiment miserably failed. The question becomes, will anyone has the wherewithal to change this law so to allow the people in Georgia to fix their credit? Now let's move away from credit repair. What if you're just a credit counseling organization? So it's either credit repair or credit counseling. Well, overall, the purpose of credit counseling is to teach and manage how to budget your expenses, your income, as well as your cash flow for your household. What is also debt payments, how to manage your debt, pay off your credit cards, how to rank your debt, how to look at the interest rates, and the strategies for using money efficiently. And you find those guidelines and rules under what's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, as well as the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Yes, these are two federal statutes. Sometimes people say them together, but they're actually separate. One's the reporting, and the other one's debt collection. Well, this is fine if it's credit counseling. Does it violate the law? We'll look further into this. But what if you're a business? In other words, you're a small business and you simply want someone to help you, not with running the business, but just manage your credit counseling. How do you get around that? So looking further into the Georgia law, it says that the operation of a consumer debt counseling service by nonprofit organization exempt from taxation under 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code or a person's license to practice law in the state within the scope as an attorney. What they basically mean is there are only two types of support you can get. It's either a nonprofit or an attorney. Now, for many of us who are individual, we may not have the money to spend for an attorney. An attorney obviously is not expensive, but this is a non-legal function. We're talking about mathematics. We're talking about money. We're talking the movement of money. And yet they have delegated this exclusively to attorneys. Well, what about debt counseling services? Well, to run a nonprofit, obviously, you need money to open up the nonprofit, to run that. But notice they focus primarily on those that are 501c3. So you could be a nonprofit, but if you're not a 501c3, you cannot perform counseling services or credit services. So this is what's unfair about the law. And we went through and we did more research. When it comes to a certified public accountant, they cannot assist you with your credit repair. Yes, I know it sounds ludicrous. An accountant deals with numbers all day long, dealing with banks, other financial services, to deal with business and individual. And yet they have to hand over the very function that they perform on a daily basis to an attorney for their clients. It's almost the same thing as saying, well, the attorney can hand over to the CPA to go to court to argue a case. Obviously, that's ridiculous. But why isn't the opposite? And again, this is the fundamental problem with this statute in Georgia. We also did further research. We looked into the IRS and see what answers they provide. And they also said the same thing. No, the tax professionals in the state of Georgia cannot do credit repair. Again, ridiculous as it sounds, you think that if you owe a tax lien or you're having issues with taxes and it's on your credit report, who else would you turn to than the actual people who understand that, which are tax professionals? But in the state of Georgia, you hand that over to an attorney. Now, there are many other services that help you with your credit. The question is, can they really help you? And we'll do more research for you. But for the state of Georgia, as it stands today, there's a thin line between providing services and being prosecuted for providing those very services. And the professionals who do this for a living, their hands are also tied. So, in order to solve or at least provide more information to the people of Georgia and for everyone, we have on our learning management called childsupport.newsendler.com, which is you can remove child support from your credit report. And you can watch the video on that. But there are also techniques in here that you could use for yourself in the state of Georgia. As you know, you have to do this yourself. I'm sorry that for some of you who need help, you may have to learn the techniques of how to remove discrepancies, information on your credit report. And we offer this in our learning management, but there are techniques and tools you can use to remove bad information or inaccurate information or payment history or correct payment history. So while we are not targeting Georgia per se, you can use the information further. We'll also put what is called the rules for the Fair Credit, as we said earlier, on our website. You can free to download it, see what your rights are within the state of Georgia. Now, we have an overall masterclass that deals with child support, of how to escape child support. It's just that now in Georgia, you have another hurdle in addition to cleaning up your credit report on top of everything else. This brings us to the end of this presentation. As we said, when we researched this topic, Georgia was the only state that you could not get assistance with repairing your credit report. As always, we said please subscribe to this channel and also hit the notification bell so that you are updated when we produce new material. We also ask for ongoing donations to help us with our research. As we did here in this particular topic, we point to you specifically with the law such that none of you either come in contact with it where there's a negative repercussion. As well as we ask for a gift, small gift. We'll take any amount. So that's it. In the state of Georgia, it is illegal to be assisted with a credit report. However, we put information on our childsupport.newsendler website where you could use to help fix your credit report. And thanks. Have a good day.